Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our artist conversation with
Mhm.
Kristina Salinas. And I'm going to have Kristina introduce herself and we'll get started.
Great, great. Well,
Thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. It's such a pleasure. And to be in this gorgeous room also, and to be able to hang my work in here at LHUCA, such an honor. So happy to be here. Um, well, yeah, I'm from San Antonio, from South Texas, and I'm a representational painter. So I sort of study figurative work, so the human form for the most part. And I'm sort of starting to stretch into mixed media and installation work as well. As you can see, my rocket ship in the back. So, yeah, that's what I do. Just very happy to be here, though.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, mentioned it and you touch on it in your artist statement, but tell us a little bit about the subjects that you choose and the idea of this resilience in children. And so could you explain about
Sure,
that a little bit?
sure, yeah. I'm really drawn mostly to youthful form and also female form, which isn't necessarily featured in this particular show. But in this show, I mostly did concentrate on children. I'm a mother myself, and so it really is something close to my heart to see children play and to ruminate on their well-being or their safety and their growth as well. Growth for me. It's not only how they might grow physically, but mentally, and how can we facilitate that growth as adults in their lives and just make it as fruitful as possible for them. What I see in children, in the form of children, is just such a strength and a resilience, like you said. There's such a just a positivity that I see and a hopefulness that I'm really drawn to. So that's what really gets me, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
So you can see there are kind of two different series going on in
Yeah.
this gallery. We have this wonderful children's series, and I didn't realize that these weren't suns peeking out behind in some of these
Mm,
images
mm,
because if you've ever had a child or have been a school
mm.
teacher in any form, you know children do not draw a sun in the middle of the sky. They draw it in a corner. And
That's
that's just
right.
how they draw until a certain age where they pass over. And so I thought it was more the sun on the horizon, but could you explain a little bit
Oh,
about how it's
sure.
not a sun on the
Right.
horizon?
Yeah, this gets a little bit perhaps a little more controversial, or there's more tension in the work than you might expect initially. So these sort of blasts or bursts that you see running through here, and then along this wall too, there's a few. So again, as a mother, children and their well-being really hits close to my heart. Something that's always been a big issue for me is gun safety in school, that sort of thing. And so what I'm sort of trying to just sort of perhaps gently introduce is that tension that children might feel in the school setting amid gun violence that they have to face. You know, I wanted to introduce it in a childlike way, so it is such a rudimentary and simple icon that I've introduced throughout. I imagine as a child, if you're aware and you're doing these sort of safety drills at school, this might be what you're envisioning. Like there's a danger there. You know, there's something there around the corner that I imagine they can't fully comprehend the
Yeah.
danger of it. So that's where I sort of have this childlike icon, that sort of thing.
Well, and I think it's really interesting too because if you weren't aware of that and if you hadn't read the artist statement or had a conversation with you about that,
Yeah.
you would think it was the sun peeking over and,
It's
this
so
child, like,
interesting
it's very
to hear you
interesting.
say that, because I
Yeah.
didn't think of that at all. Like, so
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
fascinating.
It's
I
cool
love
just
that.
because I was like, okay, like, this is, it does have very, like, this like basic quality of a sun and how like a child when they're developing and when they're drawing, how
Right.
they take it from the corner and they'll introduce it into like the middle of the picture or like on the horizon and how that develops. And so I just was thinking that that was really interesting that, it could be representative of two different things of like, oh, this is the sun
Absolutely.
on the horizon, but it does have a deeper connotation to it. And so I
Right.
think that's really interesting. One of my favorite
So
pieces
interesting.
is the schoolyard rules
Mm.
and just how this exhibition is called Playground Battleground.
Mm.
And I think it's just really interesting. And I just love the schoolyard rules thing. Use at your own
Oh,
risk.
thank
Stay
you.
calm. Do not scream. Call 911 in emergency. And so it's something you would see, at a playground or at a
You're
swimming
right.
pool. And
Yes.
so, but it also resonates with these like danger
Right.
symbols that are throughout your artwork as well. And so I know these are some of your newer pieces, and then the new series over there. Would you explain a little bit about those to us?
These here?
Yes.
Yes. So, like I said, the children's series is sort of something that hits close to my heart because it's children that are possibly in peril. So is the case for the migrant series over here. So I feel like these are people who work so hard and so tirelessly to feed our country and our communities in the field. And I feel like currently, it's a very timely thing, I think, their safety and their well-being is in trouble. I wanted to make sure and shine a light on them and their work, and just try to give them a voice, because largely they're voiceless. A lot of them don't speak English or don't have proper representation. So that's what I was trying to do with those.
Well, and I really like this new series because it does look different from your other work, and how the figures are expanding a little bit more, and how they're outlined just a little bit more, because they are very outlined in these works, but all of these works have such a colorful, playful background, and this has more of a somber tone. And so I'm really enjoying the direction of how this new work's going. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then they are my newer pieces. And so what I have been doing in my practice up in my studio is I do look more now at abstraction. I can see that sort of is showing up in my work now more than before. You know, I look at Diebenkorn and de Kooning and these artists who play with space and play with dimension. And so I see myself utilizing that a little bit more than I might have done previously.
Yeah. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the piece in the middle is, so that the piece in the middle of the wall with the very muted background, we hung that wall last, and Christy was like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to include it in the show. Can we sit on it for a little bit? And I'm really glad that we did, because I do think it's a really anchor point of that wall, because I do think it's so different than your other work, and the figure really is represented, and you can see this figure doing this manual labor. And so I'm really glad we kept it in the exhibition.
I am too.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's so nice to hear you say that, though, because I still have this slight bit of doubt, because I'm not sure that I resolved it completely. But, I don't think a painting is complete until it's viewed.
Yeah.
And so to hear that just really does mean a lot.
So can you talk about that? Because you have that in your statement as well, how she mentioned in her statement how it can be hours and hours in front of a canvas, but it's not complete until the viewer sees it. And so could you explain a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's truly how I feel. So that's why last night at First Friday, to see so many people passing through, it was just so fulfilling and so beautiful to me to see people connecting with the work. So especially for this show, I see it as a bit of a social commentary. And so I don't think it could be complete until the community is able to reflect on it. Especially this show where I'm making statements on sort of political issues. It needs to be viewed and needs to be considered by others, not just for my sake, but for their sake, so they can process it. Maybe they disagree, or maybe they agree, or maybe it just sort of continues a certain discourse or a certain thought on the subject matter. And if that's what happens, then I consider that a success for the work.
Awesome. So what's next? We've been personally talking about maybe doing some print, and you're going to take some print classes. So where do you see your work going next?
Yeah, that's right. I do hope to enroll. I live in San Antonio, so we have wonderful UTSA campus. We work with Art Pace, UTSA Pace, and so they offer printmaking courses. And so I was probably going to enroll in that this summer and sort of take my work in that direction, because I see in my daily practice in my studio, I find myself doing more like, I do certain layers of painting, but then I'll scratch some of it away. Like I'm actually like etching into the canvas at some point. I feel myself gravitating toward that sort of printmaking, etching sort of realm. So I'd like to go in that direction for sure. And then also, like I mentioned, I am looking more at abstract artists. So I sort of feel myself going that way too, and challenging myself in that way. So I hope I get to enroll and start that process soon. Awesome. I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Christy?
When you mentioned these are different series, do you plan each of the themes, each of the designs in each series first, or do you just come up with the idea for whatever the series may be and then progress from one artwork to the next?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. So I tend to sort of reverse engineer things. So I do sort of have this overarching idea of what I want to say, what statement am I trying to make in a series. And then I sort of work and fulfill that one at a time, each painting at a time. In this show, though, it was such a great challenge to prepare for this because I had a limited time, so I had to really vacillate between 2 or 3, 4 paintings at a time. So it was a great challenge and a great growth experience for me. I loved it. I was exhilarated every day going into my studio. So in this case, I did have like a few at a time going to fulfill the statement. But yeah, normally it's more just that overarching thought and how do I communicate that? And I figure that out sort of one piece at a time. I hadn't actually thought that through until you asked me. So, I mean, it tends to be like I tend to just be, I mean, again, as a mother, I have such a short amount of time to actually dedicate to be upstairs in my studio. So it's like I get in there and there's a sense of urgency. It's like I've got to just get something done today before I have to pick my daughter up from school. So it's like I've just got to sort of act and do whatever my gut is telling me to do. So, which I think is kind of
And
helpful.
which piece did Lucia help you with?
Oh, yeah. Well, so she helped me with these mixed media pieces. So you can see sort of her childlike drawings in there. And also my rocket ship installation piece. She loves that so much. She wants that to be in her bedroom at the end of the show. She wants that to be like right by her bed. So yeah, she helped me to build that and to paint it as well. So she loved it.
I think that's a really cool opportunity to collaborate with Lucia. And
Oh, I've loved
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Because before it used to be very difficult to have her upstairs with me in my studio because she would just want to play and it was kind of distracting as much as I loved it. But now she's growing and she's getting to where she can sort of focus on certain projects with me, and so I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
Sure.
I can.
Go ahead first.
Like you have this outline, you guys touched on it just for a second, but is there a conceptual connection or is it a formal to make the figure pop?
Yeah.
Part out.
So mostly it is to make it pop and sort of to make that figure the absolute focal point. I just find that a really good tool to draw your eye right where I want it. So that's mostly what I do, how I employ that outline. But I've really found it a great way to finish a piece. So I might have worked on something and I'll revisit a painting hundreds of times. I do tons of layers. I don't know if you can tell, but it's layer upon layer of work. And so I might get to the point where I can't do any more layers. I can't add anything else, but it still feels unresolved to me. And so a lot of the time I find if I just kind of outline it in a cadmium red or usually a white, it really satisfies me. So yeah, it feels more, because I have a hard time discerning like when am I actually done with this piece. It's hard for me. And I recently heard, I think Willem de Kooning used to say like, when am I done with a piece? And he would say, when they take it away from me, but I don't have that luxury. I have all the time in the world with my paintings. So that helps me to find a stopping point for sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you.
I love how it kind of flattens the figures and separates them from the background in a really interesting way.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're talking about a sense of urgency, and when you start painting, does that determine whether it's going to be more of a 2D or like this one, more of a 3D?
The sense of urgency? That's a really good question. I don't think I've ever thought about it. So I think the sense of urgency for me is more of a quick, I've got to get quick into action and just keep working because I have, say, 5 hours in my day before I have to get my daughter. So per day, I have a limited amount of time to do it. So there is that definite urgency and almost a ferocity sometimes where I've got to do this. But I do have the luxury of having weeks to revisit that piece. I can spend as much time, like that took a ton of time and a ton of layers for that pool painting. So I was able to spend some weeks on it. So the urgency doesn't necessarily affect the span of time that I can dedicate. It's just sort of a daily amount of time that I can give to it. So that's a really good question. Gosh, thank you. I hope that answered your question. Is that okay? Oh, good.
Any other questions, y'all?
One, really fascinated with the star, the gun violence, kind of that. And as a parent myself, I know that you can kind of, if you allow it to, you can become really overwhelmed with fear for your children and dropping off at school. Yes. So I'm wondering if this is, if by creating this and sort of diffusing it in a way with this symbol, do you experience some sort of catharsis with it? Are you wrestling with that fear? Is that part of the process?
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a contention and a wrestling with it. And it's probably a way for me to analyze how is my daughter feeling about this, and, it just sort of feels tragic to me that we can't do more as the parents to step in and affect change, So I guess it is more a catharsis and definitely trying to come to terms with what's out there and that danger, and just keeping it present on our mind, because it is sadly present and all too often does it occur. So yeah, it's just sort of an ongoing sort of therapy, I guess, for me. Yeah. But I do hope that making it sort of almost a comic book sort of childlike icon, I hope it doesn't make it too somber also. I try to keep a sense of hopefulness in my work, because that's sort of just basically who I am as a person. I'm very optimistic, and I always hope for the best. So I hope that there is sort of a lightheartedness to it, if that's at all possible, Yeah.
I don't really have a question so much as a comment on it. Like I do get that sense. It's playful, and it's like through the eyes of a child. That's kind of what I mean. They just see like the precautions that they take at school. They're just a part of everyday life for them, and so they don't see anything other than the gravity of the situation that it is. So I do see that very much, and I love how you incorporated that. And I actually didn't notice that until now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's that's sort of my goal too. And I'm sure a lot of artists' goal. I think art is for slowing down our vision. And, we lead such busy, hectic lives. But when you get into the sacred space of a gallery, I think the aim generally is to slow down our eyes, and to just take time to absorb all the different elements that can be in a painting. So it's not uncommon that you would not pick up on that. It's really, it's common for sure. But I'm glad that it resonates.
Yeah, I love that you touched on it, because it's very important. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to end this with my favorite question to ask people. What do you listen to while you're in the studio?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh man. Well, so it's most of the time it's hip hop. I love hip hop, as it is a culture unto itself. I always listen to that. I love the resourcefulness of hip hop, and the poetry of it. We were just talking about this at the brewery last night, how the lyrics in hip hop, they are poetry, but they are so concise at the same time, and so powerful and distilled. And I think that short form poetry, that the rhythm of it translates very well to a painting, where things have it's one singular image, and it has to be done just right if you want to express the message that you're trying to convey. I see sort of a translation between the two. Nice. And it speaks to me, and I just think hip hop is so powerful. And so I always think about the poet Saul Williams, who is a very strong Black voice. And he said that hip hop, and I'm going to paraphrase, it was a long time ago that I read this, but hip hop is the ultimate resistance to slavery. And so that really just spoke to me, and how powerful music can be, so that always sticks with me. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, my friend.
Oh,
It's been
thank
so
you.
fun to hang out with you this week.
A blast.
And
I want to come back
Yeah.
all the time for First Friday. I don't want to miss a single one. So thank you
well,
very
thank
much.
you so much. And thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Christy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Awesome.
Oh, that was great.
That was great.